All right, cool. All right, guys, this is Esteban, the host of Este's podcast, which is Talk to the Este. I got one of my very, very good friends, amazing barber. I would say one of the best ones for sure that I know, Mr. Tony. You want to do me a little introduction?
How's it going, everyone? My name is Tony Guerrero. I'm 28 years old and born and raised here in Orange County. I've been knowing Esteban for quite a few years now. We have mutual friends. I would say like good 10.
Yeah,
I've been doing that. Personally, I've been cutting his hair for about 6 years now. But, he's growing it out, so he's doing something different. So kind of feels a little awkward, kind of seems.
Yeah, with longer hair, right? Yeah, that's true. You always got me. He's always got me really lined up, super buzzed, almost bald. You know what I mean? But yeah, so we'll get to it. So the reason why I wanted to bring him out, guys, two reasons. Let's talk about the first one. The first one is he has been able to quit his job and he works for himself. So this podcast is about people who are getting to the next level, want to get to the top, and it's to help others that want to get to the top hear their stories. And so that you can see, maybe you can relate with it, or maybe you can see, hey, what do these guys do? How do these guys think? What do they do to get to where they're at? So the second reason is he's a very good friend of mine, and I think you guys can learn a lot from him when it comes to raising a family. And it's something that I think personally that a lot of people need to learn, right? Need to know.
Yeah, man, it's something that it's not too easy,
Yeah.
You got your ups and downs for sure.
Yeah, so two things, guys, and I know there's people out there who do have families who are a little bit younger, so hopefully this can help you guys out as well. So we'll get straight to it. So when we talk about your background, maybe a little bit about what you do, like the industry that you're in and stuff like that. How did you get into cutting hair?
All right, so for my background, I came from a family. My family they're immigrants. My mom's from Central America, my dad's from Mexico, and so
Your dad's from Mexico?
Yeah, my dad's from Mexico. He's from Guanajuato, León, and my mom's from Honduras, San Pedro Sula.
Oh, so you're not full Mexican?
No.
Oh, you're not?
No.
I didn't know that. Okay. Oh, shit. Okay, so
yeah.
Cool.
So, here in the States, of course, around that time, around early 2008, 2008, it was a really tough time around in California for immigrants.
Okay.
A lot of rules were being applied, and so, my parents did the best that they could to, raise me and my siblings.
Okay.
And, unfortunately, because, laws are laws, both of my parents were deported. My dad got deported early 2002.
Okay.
I was roughly about 8 years old. My little brother was just born. He was maybe 8 months to a year, maybe.
Oh, damn.
And so it was pretty tough, growing up with a single parent mom, and then kind of going through that again once I'm already turning 18.
It happened again. Okay.
Yeah, it happened again. In 2012. I was in high school. I was with my girl.
Mm-hmm.
With my wife, actually.
Yeah.
Me and her, we were dating for a while, and we decided to start a family at a young age because her father got deported around the same time my mom did. So we felt that
so your dad and then your mom.
Yeah. So it was my dad got deported, and then years passed through, and then my mom gets deported.
Okay.
And so since my wife was going through the same situation that I was, we felt like, hey, we're losing our family, let's create our own. So that's what we decided to do. We didn't know what we were doing. We just felt, what our hearts were telling us.
Okay.
So we decided to just, start a family. We planned everything, and pretty much my son was born later on that year. And yeah.
So when was it? When year was it?
He was born in 2012, in November 28, 2012.
Okay, so maybe talk about, because I have friends personally, and I know there's people out there that have gotten their parents deported. Mm-hmm. So tell me, how has that, when your dad got deported, 2008?
2012. 2002, my bad.
Well, okay. Okay, 2002. Yeah. How did that affect you, you personally, not your family, but what did that do to you?
Personally, I felt like I lost a big part of my life. I felt like, there was nothing going on for me. My dad was one of my biggest role models. He did a lot for my family. I looked at him as a hero, and, he presented himself as a hero. And, just seeing, someone that I look up to, disappear and, not even seeing him again, it hurts. It was really painful. And, you know, it sucked because, you know, me having older siblings, they always told me forget about them. And realistically, I couldn't. You know, as someone that I admire, that I love, you know, it's hard to forget somebody like that. Till this day, I don't forget about him. I still love him. You know, him and I, we have so much in common that, you know, his birthday is literally a day before mine.
Oh shit, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Okay, because I don't know how I'll be able to do it because my dad's a big, you know what I mean? That was my biggest, you know? So what did you do? Like how, so he was your role model, right? Since he was your role model, I can tell obviously you're a great, you know, stand-up guy. So you probably got that from your dad. Or you saw that from him. He showed how to take care of a family and stuff like that. So how did that, like did it make you do anything bad? Did you kind of resort to bad activities and stuff like that? Or?
I actually did, man. It's crazy that you say that, you know, like I felt like, you know, I wasn't really getting a lot of support. Mom's was always busy working, you know, day in, day out. So for me, it was like, hey, shit, like, you know, I got friends in the streets, so, you know, might as well kick it with them, you know, get involved with that.
Yeah.
And so, you know, there was like situations where like I would get in trouble with the police, you know, I'd get in trouble for school, like I started missing school, you know, I started doing a lot of stuff that, you know, like it ended up making me grow up out of it. Like, you know, it kind of like showed me like, hey man, like it's not really worth doing this stuff. Like you're just playing a temporary game right now.
What made you think you're playing a temporary game?
The thing was, what really made sense to me was that some of the people that I had around that time were expecting a lot. And so when you didn't provide what they were asking for, they kind of like put you to the side and they're like, okay, that's it, no more. Like, I'm not going to affiliate with you because you're not doing what we asked you to do, or you're not doing what we're doing. You know, kind of like following, like, you know, being a follower.
Yeah, which I don't think you are really like that, right?
Yeah, man, it was, no. Yeah, man. I, you know, I was a little stubborn kid, you know, a little hothead, and, you know, I would say something back to them like, no, F you, you know, you do it, you know, but.
Oh, okay. So that made you realize, okay, fuck this is not a sustainable route.
Yeah.
Okay. So talk about, okay, so maybe, what are some maybe other key moments in your life, now that we're talking about this right now, right? Because one of the biggest thing, guys, is that people that I've noticed that have become successful or who have done a lot more, who are actually achieving their goals, right? There's people out there who want to achieve their goals and they're not doing really anything. And this could be for you guys, so you guys can see what people who are doing and achieving their goals, what happened when they were younger, and like what formed them, you know, because I think that's what what I've realized, a lot of successful people and people who I'm interviewing right now, all has said something happened to them when they were younger and it was like a key turning point. So so how did you feel when your brothers and your older siblings were saying, hey, forget about, you know, dad right now? You know, how did you feel about that? What did you know?
Well, for me, I just kind of like was like, you know what, forget you guys. Like, you know, you guys are not believers. You know, that was one thing that kind of showed me that they're more like, no, get over it. You know, move forward in life. Okay. And for me, it was like, no, I'm gonna still move forward, but I'm gonna still have hope. You know, I'm gonna still keep kind of holding on to me like one day, hoping he's gonna come back and, you know, I'm gonna be able to see him and hug him. Yeah. You know, that was one thing that was always going through my mind.
So what did hope, okay, this is really big too, guys, because I was actually thinking about this today, but about hope and like how to use hope, because I think people don't know how to use it, and I think, so how did you use hope and how did it help you?
So for hope for me was, you know, the things that he would actually tell me to do, like wake up, go to school, you know, take care of your business, you know, do what you got to do, you know.
So you still did that because the hope was in?
Correct. Okay. So like he would say, like, you know, keep doing what you're doing, and, you know, what really motivated me to kind of hold on to that was we had a last conversation over the phone. He was actually in prison at this time, and so they were about to transport him to Tijuana. Yeah. And so that last conversation that him and I had was like, will I see you again? Am I going to see you? And he's like, yeah, I'm coming home. So he kind of planted that seed in my heart where it's like, I'm coming home, you know. So for me, like, even though it's been this long in my life, you know, 20 years of my life now, I'm still holding on to that. Yeah. You know, for me, like, at the end of the day, if he doesn't show up, like, there's no disappointment or anything like that, because I'm going to still see him when I meet the man upstairs, you know.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So that hope allows you to be able to keep on pushing forward, have a hold on to the dream. Okay, cool. So maybe that way you guys can use hope in that regards too, so you don't give up, you know, because I think because of that hope, I think that has allowed you to push and kind of be more persistent into your goals.
Sure.
You know what I mean? All right, so let's talk about, okay, so now we're gonna talk about guys. So he cuts hair, right? He's very good. I would say you're professional at barber, right? Is that what it would be called? Barber?
Yeah, pretty much. Restoring people's confidence one cut at a time.
Damn, that's a clean one. It is kind of true because you look at all the memes and everything. Like the guy that was like a crackhead to a crack dealer. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so definitely restoring people's confidence one haircut at a time. That's what you said, right? Clean,
Yep.
and that's 100% true. I can definitely when every time I would go, you gotta come out fucking cocky as hell.
Yeah, man, you have to, man, because that's the thing, man. Society itself is always bombarding you with so much negativity. It's always trying to tell you how to be something, but nobody really can do nothing else like to make it create you like with something that it's just yours that belongs to you. You know, yes, I'm using my craft, I'm using my skill, but it's basically I'm making you feel good about yourself, about your own self. Like something that no one else has except for you.
I see what you're saying. No one else has, as in like you're using them as in their hair and stuff like that.
Yep.
Okay. So now we're gonna get into his specialty and how he got into. So how did you get into cutting hair?
Like I was explaining earlier, I was a young parent with my wife. Didn't have no support, didn't have anything like that, and that was around 2012. That was when pretty much the house market crash was barely starting to like come back.
Oh yeah.
So a lot of jobs and like other places that were hiring weren't really taking anybody that had no experience.
So for what though?
To work any type of work.
Oh yeah, because like basically, so it went down. Now they're like, okay, we can choose whoever we want now.
It was more like, if we want to choose somebody, you gotta have some type of experience in something.
Because there was a lot of people.
Correct.
Okay.
A lot of people were always asking like, hey, who's hiring X, Y, and Z? Not like right now where like there's freaking 5 billion jobs and nobody wants to work. Back then, people wanted to work and there's a little bit of jobs.
Okay.
So for me, I jumped from job to job, multiple jobs. I went from from Abercrombie to working at a pizza place. To doing landscaping and just doing working at a Goodwill. Doing multiple stuff all at once, and I couldn't keep anything tangible. Like I couldn't have anything like steady. And I went through job agency after job agency, just trying to get something going. And everything just kept bombarding me, man. Like it was really literally life was fucking hitting me left and right. I got to the point where I didn't find a job for like 8 months. And one day I went to my friend Chango's house and.
I know that guy.
I went to his house and he was cutting hair at the time.
Oh, okay.
And so he was cutting hair in his backyard, and I asked him one day I just saw like 30 people lined up, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'll be right with you. And I'm like, "Yo, how much money you make from this?"
Yeah.
And he's like, roughly about like 300 or 350 a day, and I was like, God damn. I was like, damn, dude, I'm over here fucking working at fucking Zito's Pizza for only $600 every 2 weeks, and you're making $300 a day? Fuck, I'm in. Sign me up.
Yeah.
And so that was the move right there, where he's like, yeah, man, come on Saturdays, we'll do free cuts, and we'll just do donations, and we'll just split the fucking tips.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, cool, bet, let's do it. And so we did that for about a month.
So did you know how to cut hair?
Nah. Man.
So maybe you want to talk about that. So you didn't know how to cut hair, you just went in.
I just went in. I would do little stuff I didn't really know how to do any techniques. For me, I'm a very visual learner. So if I see something, I'm gonna try to imitate it as best as I can. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I did. And I used to a couple of friends in high school, they would ask me hey, can you cut me up? And honestly, I didn't know how to cut up, and I'm like, fuck yeah, I'll do it. Yeah. Hey, shout out to Miss Kenyon for letting me do it in English class.
Miss Kenyon. Miss Kenyon. Class?
She would let me cut in her classroom, man. I remember 5th period, it was English class. My homegirl Tiana would be like, hey Tony, I got my clippers, fade me up real quick.
Oh no.
I'm like, fuck it.
Oh shit.
I was like, all right, cool, but yeah, man. So
maybe we stop a little, because so what we can learn, guys, when we realize is that people, say it's like Tony and people who are going places, they they're just taking the job. They're going, yes, they're going, and they're doing it. They're not thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
They're not doing it because they don't know how to. Remember, you didn't know how to. You still did it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that we can learn. So
absolutely, no, and that's absolutely correct. Like, you know, you don't know anything until you actually go out there and try. And so that was something that I did. I was like, I got nothing to lose. I'm already at the bottom of the ground.
Yeah.
You know, I can't hit anything more than off the ground.
Yeah.
So I'm like, fuck it, let's do it. And so it was a great month. And then, you know, I kind of brought some money home. And then from there, I just kept that positive attitude.
Okay.
And
did you continue to go to his house, or would you?
I continued as best as I could.
Yeah.
Until one day, someone told me, I forgot who it was, but they're like, hey, how come you don't go to barber school?
Yeah.
Get your license and then, you know, open up a shop and do all that stuff. And
Okay.
I'm like, yeah, that's a great idea. So I told Chango about it. I was like, hey, dude, let's go do it. And then he was like, yeah, man, let's go for it. And so I went, first thing I did, looked up the school, and I went to a school in Anaheim called the Real Barber College.
The Real Barber College.
And, you know, I registered there, and pretty much, unfortunately, Chango wasn't able to because, you know, if you don't have any documents, you're not allowed to get financial aid.
Okay, I got you.
So
okay.
So that was the deal breaker.
Okay.
So yeah, I ended up going to school, and then that's where I met a couple friends from high school. That's where I met Brad, and then my friend Jonathan Clara.
Okay.
They were there, and pretty much they encouraged me. They're like, "Oh hell yeah, man! Like that's dope. Who would have thought you would have been a barber?" I'm like, "Hey, sure, me too."
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it was that was pretty much the beginning. Like pretty much just.
How long ago was that again? My bad.
So I started barber school like the middle of 2014.
God damn.
But the end of 2015.
Well, I mean, before that, you were still, so you had 24, that's 8 years. So, so 8 years doing this. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, so that's how you got into cutting hair.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. All right, cool. Now, what did you do? So now that he knows how to cut hair, what did you do? What did you do? Did you go get a job? What did you do after that?
So once I applied for that school, literally 2 months in that school, a random guy comes into the school and asks all the barber students who wants a job. And we're like, what the hell? What are you talking about? And one of my classmates was like, oh, dude, I forgot to tell you, there's some owners that always come looking for barbers, you know, so they can come work at their shop.
It's a good idea.
And so I'm like, okay, bet, I'm down to go. But he's like, yeah, but you have to be like already like finishing the program. You can't just go and work at a shop. And so I'm like, damn. I'm like, all right, well, I'm not gonna ask him anything then. And so I just, so at the time, there was two sides. So there was the education side where you did everything like book work and like hands-on, like with mannequins.
Yeah.
And then on the second side, where like all the people that are finishing the program, they actually cut live models.
All right.
So I was in that section, just trying to learn more. So I would go after
So
class.
you could choose which other?
No, so I actually, so you have to, so you have to complete a certain amount of hours. To do the barbering course, it's 1,500 hours. So you have to complete first 950 hours before you can go to this other side where you can cut live models.
Okay.
So for me, I talked to one of the instructors, and he told me, hey man, you want to learn more? After you're done with your class, and you're completely done, clock out, come on to the other side and see how the students cut. So you can pick up some techniques or whatever, some strategies, whatever it is.
So you did extracurricular work.
Mm-hmm.
Extracurricular work.
Pretty much I put in that extra work.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, bet. So I started doing that to the point where the instructor, him and I, we actually had a really good, relationship, built this relationship where he would tell me like, hey man, don't clock out. Just make these extra hours. Since you're already here, I'm gonna hook you up with extra hours, so you can get your license and make your money and get out of here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, bet.
You still talk to that guy?
I still talk to him to this day.
Nice.
Yeah,
Okay,
man.
cool.
Yeah, I still talk to that instructor till this day, man. Honestly, I have, like I said, I have a really good relationship with him.
Yeah.
And I talk to him here and there, and he was actually the one that kind of like told me like, hey man, forget like what these other students are doing. Stop, like, ignore the criticism, all that stuff. You're doing a good thing already, just being here.
Yeah.
You're already putting in that work. So
So he was like your mentor.
In a way, he was. In
Yeah.
a way, he was. He didn't really like do much of it, but like he would just kind of like pop in and like kind of be like, hey,
Support.
like do this. He was more of a supporter. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure, a supporter.
So that's important to have for sure, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So All right. So then where were you going? So now you're at the second spot. You're at the second spot,
Mm-hmm.
right? What were you doing there?
So basically, after that, I started cutting, and that same guy came to the guy that was looking for barbers. He decided to come a different day, and so he saw me cutting hair. And he told me, "I want you to come and work for me." And I told him, "I don't have a license for it." He was like, "Hey man, fuck it."
Yeah.
He said, "Fuck it, man." He's like,
Well,
you want to work?
why did he choose you? There had been a reason why he went up to you. You know.
To be honest, man, for me, at my head at that given time was like, okay, I'm at least doing some type of work. I caught someone's attention, so my craft or my characteristic or whatever I'm
Yeah,
doing
it had been something. Yeah.
has to attract this guy.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, cool. And, since I'm over here having this assumption, basically I started working for this company, and then from there, I just started noticing that, no, they just needed people to fill in their chairs so they can pay their rent.
Oh.
So me going blindly, I didn't know how the barbershop world works. So basically, excuse me, if you work at a barbershop, it's either two types of methods. Either one, you pay your rent, either bi-weekly, weekly, or monthly. Or you pay commission. So that means you have to give a certain percentage from every single haircut that you make, you give it to the owner. So at the time, I was giving him 30% of every haircut that I was
So you went commission route.
I went commission route because I didn't have clientele or I didn't have a source of income to pay that rent.
I got it.
Incorrect. So I took the commission route, and it got to the point where I'm like, all right, cool, cutting at $15, paying commission. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm walking out maybe around roughly $12 to $13.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, I'm making $12, $13 an hour.
Yeah.
Compared to minimum wage at the time, which was only $50. I'm like, I'm fucking winning.
Yeah. You are.
I'm winning. But that's where it got a little sour because the veteran barbers that we're working with that have their usual clients, they were giving them the clientele.
Oh, okay.
So all the new barbers that they hired are over here like fucking vultures at the door trying to get a cut. Like, hey man, you walking in? I got you, my guy.
Oh, I see.
Sit down, my boy. Fucking whip the cape and everything.
Yeah, you guys are like salespeople.
Pretty much, man.
Yeah.
Like trying to seal that deal.
Yeah.
So it got to that point where for me it was like, this is not for me. Like, why do I have to go and be a savage about this? Like, why do I have to have to go and beg these guys for a cut? I just so I can get money in my pocket.
Yeah.
Because if you don't cut, you don't get nothing.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like, yeah, man, I can't be here. I can't do this anymore. And so that's when randomly I got called from O'Reilly Auto Parts, and they're like, hey, we saw your resume. You want to work?
Yeah.
And I told them, I was like, yeah, man, but I'm a full-time student. I go to this barber school. Can you guys work with my schedule? They're like, yeah. So pretty much they gave me the night shift. I started working at O'Reilly Auto Parts part-time.
Yeah.
And I left that barbershop.
Okay.
And I was like, you know what? I can't be there. I'm just going to stick it with this
job.
Just kind of kick it there and kind of see where it goes.
Okay.
And then from there, that's when I met one of the students at the school. He was finishing up making credits. His name is Lloyd Vernis.
Mm-hmm.
He's the owner of the Pride Barbershop in Downey.
Okay.
And so
he's an owner now.
He's an owner now.
Okay, cool.
So he opened up a barbershop, and I remember one Sunday I went to go make up some hours.
Yeah.
And I saw him, and he was finishing up. It was his last day, and he looked at me, and I looked at him, and he was like, "Hey man, I really like your cut." He was like, "How long have you been cutting?" And I told him, "Well, I'm only 3 months in the program."
Yeah.
And so he was like, "Okay." He's like, "Where you stay at?" And I told him I live in Orange. He's like, "All right, man." He's like, "Hey, I'm having an event this Wednesday. It's called Open Mic. You want to come and check it out?" And I was like, "Well, for what, dude? I don't sing, I don't freestyle or nothing." He's like, No, it's not like that, man. He's like, "I'm not expecting you to do it, but we do have performers.
Yeah.
Come out, support. Come check out the barbershop."
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm like, all right.
So it's like a promotion thing for the barbershop.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Right.
And so I'm like, all right, cool. So I drive to buttfuck Downey.
Yeah.
I'm
Damn,
like,
that's like almost an hour, right?
Yeah, about
okay.
an hour. So I'm like, what the fuck? Like, dude.
I think I remember this too, bro.
Yeah.
I think I remember you. Maybe, I don't know. Go ahead. My bad. Go ahead.
But yeah, man. So I drive all the way over there. I'm like, when the hell is this fucking freeway gonna end?
Yeah.
I'm over here with my wife. We're like, hey, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to drive over here every fucking day.
Yeah.
So the event happened. I loved the shop. The shop looked nice. The people were amazing.
Yeah.
I met some of his personal clients, and then from there, like I just noticed, like this is a fucking golden nugget.
It's a golden nugget.
It's a golden
Why?
nugget. Why? The reason why of how he had everything established. One, he was working with the community, which was a big factor.
Yeah.
Number two, location. It was in the heart of Downey, downtown Downey.
Okay.
Not only that, every individual that was in there, every individual that went to go see these performers and do all that stuff,
Yeah.
they're all workers in that downtown area. They're either servers, they're managers, or they're bar owners or club owners or restaurant owners.
Yeah. So they all go. Yeah. So he had the whole community in it.
He had the whole community in it.
Okay.
So from there, that's why I was like, yo, this is where the money's at.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So, okay, hey, I remember. Okay, by the way, I do remember this. I do remember you. I do remember the Downey store. I remember you worked there for a bit, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I managed it for 3 years.
Oh, damn. Good. Oh, shit. That's good stuff, man.
Yeah.
All right. So maybe you want to talk a little about that, or is that an important part?
Yeah.
Did you learn a lot from that, or no?
Yeah, I did. Honestly,
What did you
so for me, it was one, a work ethic. Work ethic. I was driving from Orange all the way to Downey, 6, even 7 days out of the week, man. There was
Damn.
times where I didn't even take a day off.
Yeah. I think I remember those days. I do remember those days.
Mhm.
I do remember when. Yeah. My bad. All right. Go. Yeah.
So, going through that, it showed me a lot of work ethic. Not only that, like it really motivated me to keep moving forward. Because when I started working in Downey, the first day that I worked there, I made $200.
Okay. So I was like,
yeah. So
yeah.
compared to me working at the first location that I first started,
yeah.
I started working there. I was making $200 to $250 a day. But for me, it was like, okay, it's a drive. Got to pay gas, got to do this. I'm like, I could just kind of manage things a little bit better.
Yeah.
But I was going home with $250 in the pocket. So
That's
for
good.
me,
It's good.
so that means like my commission was paid.
Yeah.
So that means like roughly about like maybe like 270, maybe 280 I was making a day.
Okay.
Almost $300 you can say.
That's good.
And
Okay.
so I'm like, all right, cool. I'm making decent money. I'm bringing bread home. At the same time, I'm working at O'Reilly's. And so when I officially finished barber school, that's when the owner said, I'm going to give you an official promotion to where instead of doing commission for 30%, he was charging me 20%.
Okay.
So I'm like, all right, cool. That's kind of better than paying rent, because for me it was like, hey, rent. He was charging $850 a month,
Yeah.
and so for me the commission that I was paying him was like roughly about like $650, and I
Okay.
was walking out with more bread.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, this makes more sense. I'm like, I'd rather do this,
Mhm.
but it was a lot of responsibility.
Mhm.
So one, it helped me with my work ethic. Two, it kept me more organized,
Okay.
more punctual. It showed me how much enthusiasm I got from it. Not only that, the guys that I was working with, they kind of pushed me more since they were all older than me. I was like the youngest one there.
Okay.
And so they kind of influenced me to kind of like keep pushing myself forward.
Okay.
And like pretty much how to run a business, man. Like that was the main thing. Like I'm like, yo, once I open my own shop, I already have the mentality and the skills to do that.
So maybe tell some of the viewers here what are some of the skills that you need to run the business that you learned.
So one of them is building relationships. I call it generation wealth, generation money, actually. The reason why I say that is because if you have a client and he has a kid, or he has a nephew, or he has an aunt, uncle, or whatever, you can continue going that pattern. As long as you have that relationship with that person, you can continue servicing these individuals, and they'll continue to recommend you to more family. So that's something where like I started building my relationship with them.
How did you build relationships? Maybe you can
Just pretty much understanding them and being real. There's a certain thing that you connect with those individuals. Like for me, there was one guy. His name was shoot, I forgot his name already.
That's all good. You have a lot of clients.
No, his name is Greg. Him and his son would come by, and they were big Dodger fans. He's into cars and stuff like that, and so he has his own personal business where he'll fix muscle cars and stuff like that.
Okay.
So he was always coming in with his son, his wife, and his daughter, and literally beautiful family, man. They're one of the coolest people. And they were really supportive because he would come in and get a haircut, then he'll bring his son, and then he'll refer some of his coworkers, he will refer some of his clients, and he was just bringing me people. Yeah, he was just bringing me people. And so for him, the way that we started off was like, you know, I told him, I was like, damn, dude, you're fucking yoked. You know, like, hey, I'm trying to get some muscle too. Like, what do you recommend?
Yeah.
You know, just try to break the ice some way, somehow, you know, to do something like that. And so that's how it started off. Like I told him, hey, man, any exercises that you recommend, and then went from exercises to where we like the same sport. Like he likes baseball.
Baseball.
He's a big fan of baseball, so I'm like, all right, cool. His son plays baseball. His daughter plays soccer, so I'm a big soccer fan as well. So we started communicating on that, and then, of course, you know, he's older than me. He has his son, so for me, I'm like, I'm a young father. What kind of pointers can you give me?
I see what you're saying.
So that's where
good stuff.
So little stuff like that was like, okay, cool. Like, you know, I'm like, you know, I built this relationship with him, and we're like, no, we're cool. Like, I can call him up and be like, yo, how you doing?
Yeah.
You know, nothing awkward, you know. And that's something that I always recommend for anybody that's starting a business. You know, build a relationship with your guest. You know, because that's going to take you a long way, more than just trying to make your money there and then.
I see what you're saying, like transactional instead of a transactional. Here you go, boom.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are some of the tips? Relationship, you got that. You talk about organize a little bit, right?
Okay, organizing yourself, having your routine. It's one of the biggest things that a lot of individuals don't really have. For me, I never had that. I was more of a get up and go person. I can hit the snooze button freaking 6-7 times. Never really got up, never really done anything like that. So, and then eventually I started learning like, okay, I gotta be at work by 8 a.m. So for me, driving from Orange to Downey, I had to get my ass up at 6. So I'm like, okay, cool. Get up at 6, leave my house by 6:20, hop on the freeway, get at the shop by like maybe like 7:30.
Okay.
7:30, 7:45. So I got that little bit of time to get myself prepped. So whatever I didn't finish the night before, like any hot towels, or like pretty much clean my station, or like pretty much clean my chair or disinfect any of my implements or any tools, I would have those 15-20 minutes to do that.
So you organize time. So okay, so cool. So I see what you're saying. So you had a little system going on. All right.
Correct. So I did that, pretty much started making a schedule, and then for me cutting my appointments, I had to organize that time too. So that's what pretty much helped me establish myself a lot more smoother too, because now I have my expectations. Like, okay, I have, you know, the next 40 clients for the next couple days. I already know how much money I'm gonna make. So that pretty much gives me an idea how much money I'm gonna spend for groceries, how much money I have to spend for gas, how much money I have to spend for like whatever other.
Oh, I see. You forecast. You had a good forecast, so you can push off a forecast. Okay,
correct.
That's good. Okay, cool. Anything else?
I would say
like what would you say like one of the most important tips? Then we'll go into some of the topics.
Okay.
What would you say like what did you say would you learn? Because obviously that spot that you were in Downey obviously was a popular one. The owner was probably extremely smart because he knew how to get the whole community in there. And because I've learned a lot about that too, that the best business owners start off with the community and they have them, which is a really strong connection. So you were at a really good shop basically. So what did you say? What is one of the big key things that you learned there?
The biggest thing was pretty much loyalty, man, and integrity. You know.
Okay, so what do you mean by loyalty and integrity?
Loyalty and integrity. It was like something that, you know, if you believe in anybody that's in, like if these are your teammates, these are your partners, and they're gonna
like your employees, the people around. Okay.
Correct. So if you believe in them, they'll believe in you, and that was one thing that we did there, like to the team. You know, if
the culture there was very good.
The culture was there. The culture was there, you know, so we all helped each other grow. We all helped each other eat. You know, if someone, like, you know, for example, like if all the barbers were busy, right? And I know I'm taking my lunch. For me, instead of just dipping out, I would ask everyone like, y'all hungry?
Yeah.
And they'll be like, yeah, all right, cool. I'm gonna go get some burgers right now for everyone. You know, if you guys want something specific, you know, fuck you. I'm gonna get you what I'm gonna get. You know, eat it. Okay. No, I'm just kidding. No, we'll just text each other. But yeah, we'll do that. Like, you know, we'll help each other out. Like, that was one of the biggest things. And, you know, you can also add teamwork to that. You know? Okay.
No, because this is really important, guys, because every single top CEO, all the best businesses, that's the business that I ran, that was something that I made sure that was very big, which is culture, right? And they all talk about this. So culture, and you brought that up. So what are the benefits of culture?
And pretty much one
that you saw over there.
Is
that
that
loyalty? You say you had more loyalty.
Yeah, like I would say because of that culture, we attracted a lot of people, and these individuals that we met that day,
Yeah.
or like continue to visit us. Like it really
Like
brought us
you mean clients.
clients. Yeah.
So you okay? So
yeah. So like any guest that would show up, any guest like there would be some individuals that we don't even cut up at all.
Yeah.
Or like like there was like since the owner he was a military veteran. We would get some veterans that would come in and be like, hey, you guys got some spray change or whatever. We're like, hey, man, we actually know somebody that can help you with a place to live, get you a place so you can shower, get a job maybe, and get some food.
Yeah.
And so it was just something that it really opened up the doors to where,
like you're very helpful to everybody.
Correct.
All the guests is what you're saying.
All the guests, like it didn't we didn't really focus on just giving everyone a haircut. We kind of like try to help anybody. Like, all right, man, like you want some pair of shoes? Like, hey, I know somebody that's selling pair of
I see what you're
shoes.
saying.
Like, we would like do little stuff like that. Kind of
I
just
got
help
you.
everyone like in every aspect as much as we could.
Yeah. So you guys just gave value. You guys gave value any way you could. Any value that was needed, you guys threw it at.
Pretty much.
That's awesome, man. But yeah, that's cool. Okay. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna talk about some personal topics. Talk about so talk a little bit about let's talk about some juice. So pet peeves, right? So what are some pet peeves? Look, guys, I always do this with our male guests. So pet peeves about girls. So you're in a relationship, or you're actually married. He's married. Okay. So what's something that you've learned first off being married, and then talk about the pet peeve. You're like, oh man.
Okay.
So what would you learn about being married?
So okay, being married, man. It's something that a lot of people kind of like ashamed, and kind of like say bad stuff about it. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, like we know multiple individuals that marry for a few years and then divorce, and then they have so much bad things to say about their ex partner. And it's like, yo, that's the mother of your child,
Yeah.
Like, why are you gonna say that? Like, you're all up in her guts before, you didn't say that,
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, yo, you know what? It's a life lesson, man. Like that, it really taught me a lot of things.
Yeah.
It made me grow. It made me become a man who I am today.
Yeah.
For sure, that's something that it really did, and I'm very grateful. I have a very supportive partner. She helps me out with everything, even though I fucking drive her nuts sometimes. And vice versa. And that's the thing that really makes our relationship stronger is that, we don't give up, even though we do have, encounterments or whatever, disagreements or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, we don't just fucking throw the towel and be like, all right, that's it, I'm done,
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
And
a lot of people do that now.
And a lot of people do that.
Maybe we'll talk a little more about this. So what are some things that you've done? Because I've also interviewed Johnny. He's very good with that as well. And what we can learn from these long-term relationships, what I've realized is that you guys don't throw the towel. So what are some ways that maybe that has allowed you guys to not throw the towel?
Okay, so one thing that really helps me out is that if I'm ever in a situation where her and I